We all had an early vision of what our lives would look like, and then life actually happened. From marriage to motherhood, career dreams, and everything in between, this is Life Actually with Mary Bell. Welcome back to Life Actually with Mary Bell and Louisa Vilardi. This is part 2 of our original episode, and if you listen to the first one, and obviously it would make sense for you too, so that you're not starting in the middle here. Louisa is just a fantastic human being. She is the mom and business owner and wife who does it all, as she boldly declared, and I absolutely agree with her that she does do it all, and she doesn't have a giant support system, which if you've caught all the previous episodes of Mary Bell, like I have a mom and a mother-in-law, and they're super active, and they come help with, our daughter. And I often say, I don't know how people are able to do even half of what you do without moms and even dads and mother-in-laws around. And I know you said your in-laws are fantastic, so that's wonderful. But there is obviously a difference when your own mother is missing and you have lost both parents, which you touched on in episode 1. And life is sad, right? So we don't want to sit here and be like, hey, we don't want to talk about sad things. I think it just shapes people as humans.
Yeah.
Loss is just traumatizing in many ways. So talk a little bit about, or a lot about, losing your mom and your dad and basically how it's gotten you and changed you to this point.
Yeah. So I lost my mom in 2015, so it'll be 10 years, and my dad in 2020, which it was like the height of COVID, where we were like wiping down groceries and wearing gloves to pump gas and standing 6 feet away from each other kind of thing. So I've lost both my parents, and, it's almost like I don't want to say I was a different person before and I'm a different person now, but I really am, and I feel mostly bad for my husband because he married me prior to, my parents passing, and things have just changed as far as like myself and who I am as a person. Any sort of loss changes you. It doesn't have to be death, right? People think that grief is related to death, and it is. Trust me, it is. But grief is actually related to loss, right? So it's not just, yes, my parents died and I'm grieving and mourning. We do that even subconsciously and we don't even know, right? Like there's a photograph. I talk about this sometimes when I teach like business or whatever, right? So there's a photograph in our bedroom, and Dave and I was 27 and we were in Las Vegas, and it's just a picture of us at dinner, and we look attractive and happy and wonderful. And we were going out one night, this was years ago, and I said, oh, I'm going to wear that shirt. I have that shirt, and I'm going to do my makeup like I did my makeup there. And I put on the shirt and I did my makeup. Dave finds me in the bathroom crying, and he's like, what could possibly be wrong? I said, I don't look like that picture.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, that was like 100 years ago. I'm like, I know, but I'm like wearing the same shirt and I did my makeup the same. So my point is, that's a loss for me, right? Like, I don't look the way that I did. Like, where did my abs go? Like, kind of thing, right? Like, we're like, oh my God, we're mourning that. That's loss, and that's loss. So it doesn't have to be death.
But you lose versions of yourself while gaining new versions of yourself.
I guess, yes, of course. But it's like, grief is not, I just want to be clear that it's not just about death.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not. I think often about the different types of people we become in our like relationships and marriages, and exactly what you just said. Like, Dave is married to somebody different now than you were prior to your parents dying. Yeah. But even if your parents were still here, Dave would have different versions of Louisa that he's been married to.
Probably. Yeah. But it definitely changed me. Listen, you need your mom the most when you become a mother.
Yes.
That is the damn truth.
Yeah.
And I lost my mom as soon as I had Mario. She lived with us for a week and helped us, helped me with the baby, helped Dave. And then when she left, and she wasn't the same after that, and then died a few months later, So it definitely just shaped my life. I was 31, and I lost my mom. But I became a new mom, lost my mom, and then my dad dying. First of all, there's my dad dying, and then my dad dying at the height of COVID. Right. He did not have COVID. He died of something else, but that was just awful. Mm-hmm. It was just the worst. But anyway, that's who I am. And that's, and I know that there's people out there that are like, all right, enough about her parents. Not enough, right? Enough. This girl, she lost her parents. Everybody dies. Everybody dies. Get over it. Yeah. I know people are thinking that, and it's okay. It's totally natural to think that. But then I'm actually one of like the first phone calls I get from a friend or an acquaintance that then loses a parent. And they almost say, I had no idea it was like this.
Well, it's interesting. A bunch of things swirling through my head that I hope I don't forget. One, I could sit here and think about either of my parents not being here anymore, and I'm not going to try not to because we got the sty situation. I'm wearing my glasses because I have a freaking sty in my eye. Okay?
Don't cry.
But I could think about them not being here, and I could cry on the spot. My mom yells at me all the time. She goes, Mare, there's going to come a time when I'm not here anymore.
All right, don't cry. I'll say a joke. Do you want to hear a joke?
And she's like, you're just going to have to move on.
Yes.
And I know that.
Well, you don't have to move on. That's actually, you don't have to move on. So I don't like when...
She means like pick yourself up, dust yourself off. The world's going to keep spinning.
You have to just become strong enough to carry that baggage. And that's what I meant before in part one, if we're referencing the podcast.
Yeah.
In part one, you have to find the people that are willing to carry that baggage with you. I know people who lost their parents and then got divorced within the same year because you cannot handle that. That is heavy, heavy shit.
Well, and then I'm sure a spouse who doesn't quite understand it or isn't as supportive as perhaps they should be is like, all right, listen, I can't deal with you like this anymore.
Right. Yeah. And Dave's great.
Snap out of it.
Dave's great. Dave's been supportive. My father lived with us in his last few months of life. And that is also very heavy, on a marriage, on a daughter. It's just responsibility. There were people in and out of our house. We had home health aides. And Dave was so great, and you just you got to find somebody like that because I would have never been able to get through.
Well, find somebody like that. But then also, as you said in part one, too, like you looked at, hey, I don't want to be an English teacher and grade essays for the rest of my life. You have one life and you hopefully have a lot more years left. Do you want to spend that time? Not saying that you focus on having lost your parents, but it is always at the top of your mind, right?
Yeah.
So there's a fine balance there between honoring them and never forgetting them and sort of being pissed because it's okay to be pissed off that they left early.
Yeah.
But then also being as present and positive as a person as you can be for your kids.
Right.
And for your husband so that the rest of your years are spent as, sunshiny as possible, basically.
I know. And my mom also died so I was born on the 19th. My mom died on the 18th at like 11 something at night, So I just remember thinking like, I'm never going to want to celebrate my birthday again. Cause my birthday that year, I was planning a funeral. And like I was planning a funeral and not everybody knew my mom died and I was getting 100 text messages about my birthday. And so it's just,
you want to be adopted by Mama Maris.
I do. I hope that she adopts me.
Yes, but Mama Maris would kind of kick you in your coolie and say, hey, listen, if I'm adopting you, you're going to celebrate your birthday and you're going to enjoy every reason there is to be here. Yeah. And that's what your mother would have wanted you to do too.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, so that has shaped my life. And just to go into like photography, even though there's a lot of people who think that photographers just point and click. And we don't. We tell stories with our work, and it's really important to me. So when a family reaches out and wants family photos, I don't look at it as a booking, right? I don't look at it as like another client.
Right.
This is like, I can't tell you how many people I've taken photos of that have now passed. And my photos that hang on their wall is like one of the last days they had with that grandfather, spouse, child. It's really moving. We have a really we hold a lot of power as photographers and writers,
Yes,
because with writers, like, don't piss me off because I will put you in a play.
In a book.
And don't piss me off. Anytime Dave and I get into an argument, he always ends it with like, and don't put this in a play. Don't put this in a play.
Yeah. I love that. And it's funny because a lot of the stuff, the hard work that Jay and I did, like I write all the good things that we've basically made it to in a lot of books. And so there's a lot of people who are a little negative. They're like, what man does this stuff? And I'm like, well, it took us a long freaking time to get here where like, we really do try to prioritize our relationship and this and that. But anyways, back to the parent side of things. I was going to ask too, you have a program, talk about the grief.
Okay. So I run a journaling workshop called Writing Through Grief, and it's just guided, prompts that I work with people. I do still teach a lot of writing, and I teach the kind of more the business side of photography, goal setting and things like that. I had to fuse. You're like once an educator, always an educator. So I had to fuse what I do now with teaching. So I'm still educating in some sense. But my journaling workshop is the only writing workshop that I do where I don't critique any writing. It's really just guided prompting.
Okay.
Yeah, on grief. And I don't, like I said before, grief is not only about death. People come and take it because they do have some sort of loss, whether it is a death or a divorce or they lost a pet. Or I've had people come that are recovering alcoholics, drug addicts, because they've, that's also a loss. Right. And dealing with that. So, and I do have a grief journal that will be published as soon as we can get our shit together.
Right. That was my next question. If people are interested in that and the workshops, how do they
I'll
find
announce
that?
it. So it's all announced on my socials and stuff, and they can follow that. But but I love doing that. I love teaching, mentoring, anything like that. Just working.
Well, I think that's too part of our friendship too. Is like you say you're my PR agent, my publicist, right? And like you sort of are like my big sister in that. It feels like you're always pushing me to think of new things, or hey, go contact this person, or go try this, or have you thought about this? And that's really important. And it makes a lot of sense now talking to you of the educator piece and wanting to help push people along. As far as though when you're personally writing through grief, if anybody were to have watched your, plays or read your writing, it's a joke, but not really. You sort of traumatize everybody with your writing.
I do. I love it. I love to crush those, Claudio. I love to crush souls.
She crushes.
It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah. Let's say that again, because I was interrupting you. Look at Claudio and say that again.
I love to crush souls. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Favorite thing.
She traumatizes people with her writing. And I literally have written here, writing through grief and how you traumatize everyone. And this is my question to you. Is that a form of therapy for you?
Yes. Well, writing is a form of therapy because like I said, it sounds like a joke, but it's the truth. So I've met so many people in my life that somehow in some shape or form have made it into my writing. Right? They've made it into characters. And yes, I'm fictionalizing things. I'm making things up. But really, they're based on people. The foundation is people that I know, And I love, like, somebody pisses me off, I could put them in a play, punch them in the face, Not you. I'm just looking at you to have a conversation. You got different angles here, right? And then there's people, like Ray in Tough Love. That's not all my mother, but it's a lot of my mother,
right?
But it's not all my mother. My mom was not totally Ray from Tough Love, but a lot of it.
A lot of people ask me that too with writing. They're like, is that this person? And I'm like, no, I'm not like taking one person.
Correct. If it was that person, we'd be writing a biography about our lives,
right?
But that's the best part about writing. And the truth is, like, with writing, I can bring people like my parents back to life, like the play that you saw, at Rhinebeck, that my dad didn't even like. He might have liked baseball, but he didn't play baseball. He didn't know anything about baseball. That character loved baseball.
But your dad had dementia?
Oh, yeah. At the end, it was not pretty. Yeah, it was not pretty at the end.
I didn't realize that was related. So this really is truly a form of therapy. This is you.
It absolutely is, and that repetition in that play. People listening don't know that play, but there's, a character who has dementia or Alzheimer's, however you want to look at it. But he was like losing it and couldn't remember things, right? And he kept repeating himself. That was a big part of my life, where my dad would just repeat the same thing. And I would get so agitated, right? Because I'm a human being, and like, how many times can you hear he had an obsession with the ATM, right? And he always used to say, "Can you go to the ATM for me?" And I'm like, "What the fuck do you need cash for? Like, you don't even leave the house. Like, what do you need?"
But you're trying to rationalize something that's not
exactly. And then I'd say, "Dad, I'm gonna go later." Like, and then it wouldn't be, "Are you gonna go later?" It would be, "Hey, do you think you could go to the ATM for me?" And this, I'm talking dozens of times throughout the day, or he would like eat a full meal and then 5 minutes later be sitting on the couch and saying like, "When are we having dinner?" So writing things like that. And I do love baseball, so I incorporated baseball into that, so.
It's interesting the way you were just saying. It's like when our parents age, And our parents said this about their parents. It's like you go up the hill and then you go back down where you start from like when you're little, because even Marina, hey, mom, watch this. Mom, watch this.
Yeah.
Mom, when are we having dinner? Mom.
It is, they become babies, and this is a very private thing, but I'm happy to share it because I think, like I said, people can relate to this, but talk about going back to being a baby again. My father, it was my brother and I with my dad, and my dad passed while I was changing his diaper.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So like, that's so sad, right? And it sounds so dramatic and awful, but like, that's who they are in the end. There are babies. We were feeding him with spoon, like we were spoon feeding him. I was changing his diaper. It was just, it's awful, but that was the end. That was the end.
It's important too that you like relate all of this stuff too. Like, we hope we have X amount of years left.
Yeah.
You don't know how many of them are going to be really good ones.
You don't.
And I know my mom is like, man, if I get to that point, she basically wants me to offer. And I said, Ma, I love you to death. A, I'm not doing that. But B, you're not going to realize it when you're there, I don't think. I mean, maybe you do. I don't know.
Who knows? We won't know till we get there. But
the most important part, the only thing you can control is in these good years that you have, living them to the absolute fullest and surrounding yourselves with the people that you want to be around and going out and doing fun things.
Yeah.
That's the only way to combat it.
Right. I will say the only other thing that I think I'm pretty adamant about is raise your kids to understand how to take care of people when they are older and they're adults.
Yeah.
Mario, my oldest, he was probably the only one that remember. Charlie was too little to remember my dad. But Mario watched us do everything. And Mario did it with me. Mario helped me change sheets. He helped me change him. The only thing Mario didn't do was like change his diaper, because I think he would have been confused, like why Nono was wearing a diaper. But but I think that's really important, is just to raise your kids to learn how to take care of people when they become adults. Like, learn how to take care. And it doesn't mean take them into your house and do that, but it's like, learn how to really take care, check in on your grandparents. Are you calling your grandparents? Are you checking in with them? I think that's really important. Gotta raise good humans, people.
I feel like that too, even with Marina, and it might be a little different with girls versus boys, but like when my back went out and I couldn't move, like she's nervous and she's trying to see what she could do to help, and she's rubbing my back. Like, it's amazing what is just built into you, like intuition and biologically and all that. All right. So Life Actually, obviously the purpose of this whole podcast is we all had dreams of what our life would be, and then life actually happened. So for people listening, what would be the biggest thing that you would say to maybe a young Louisa or anybody that, whether they're younger or whatever, like, this is what you thought your life would be, but this is what it is now. And what's the best way to just go about living with maybe not so many expectations where you could possibly get disappointed if things don't come true? Like, what is your best set of advice for people who are going through career changes and motherhood changes to where you are right now? Like, hey, this is what life is actually from what you thought it was going to be, and how to sort of manage those expectations and be the happiest version of yourself.
So my favorite quote, I think I've told you this before, is a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor.
Yes.
And like, that's my life. It's never really been a smooth, growing up, everything was like smooth and great and wonderful, but like becoming an adult was not necessarily a smooth sea, from just struggles and trauma and, just the things that come along with life. I just think you have to keep chugging along, hold on tight, and just keep moving and keep breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if people get in your way, just, I don't know, punch them in the face.
Yeah, they're not on the inner circle that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
And then this is one of my favorite things to say, which I've said throughout when I've gone through marriage therapy, through when I had my own personal therapy sessions with my best friend, Lauren. One of our favorite quotes to each other is, when we are 80 and we look back at our life, like, are we going to be happy with what we see and what we feel? And I guess that's a question for you. Like, what is your end goal when you're 80? Let's say you're going to make it to 80 and you're going to be a hot 80-year-old.
Oh, I hope so.
And healthy and
Yeah.
still kicking ass, all right?
Okay.
None of this negative shit here.
No, I won't. All right. I'll be good.
When
I'll be
you
positive.
reach that point and you look back at your life, what do you want the like end goal to like measure your success or happiness to be?
Honestly, I just want my kids, I want my boys to be good boys. That's it. I want them to like never be douchebags. And I just...
Here I am having a moment and we bring out the douchebag comment. Oh my God.
I'm going to that's the truth. If I just have raised good children and they have watched Dave and I model good parenting and good, being good humans, I feel like I will have done my job. I do. I really do.
And take it, so if somebody listening is not a parent, right?
Yeah.
For you personally, what does that look like at 80 for your personal accomplishments and achievements?
Like professionally, you mean professionally. I mean, I think if I get to 80 and I have just made myself happy, then I'm good. Because I make a lot of people happy with like what I do, whether it's photography or writing, right? There's always an audience listening, laughing, crying, whatever. But if I've made myself happy, then I feel like I've accomplished, A lot of people get to 80 and are fucking miserable.
Right. Well, that's I think my biggest goal too is for me, for my family, for the people that I'm surrounding, because I do this often with both Jay and I, even Marina being 5. Like I want her to do all the things, and if she doesn't like something, all right, you tried it,
Right, yeah.
And surround yourself with good people so that it's, I don't know why I always say 80. I just think like you hope you're going to go longer than 80, but you don't know how great those years are going to be after 80.
Right.
So, and I know of you do make a lot of people happy. People have the nicest things to say about you, how talented you are, how you make people feel both when they're watching or reading your works. And you have a children's book too. We didn't even touch on that. You are a wonderful person inside and out, and you make people better who are around you. And I've
so nice.
learned that firsthand. So I'm very, very, very grateful for you.
Thank you.
I'm very fortunate to have you in my life. And I hope to, in certain instances, that I am able to repay the favor now and in the future, because you deserve to have people fill your cup too.
Oh, thank you.
Because you've done a lot of talking about what you want to do for your kids and what you're doing, and picking up slack when like you didn't have your parents' support, but you deserve to have your cup filled too. And I think that's very important to remember.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like my parents raised really good kids, and we're all very different. We are all very different. And I think that my parents probably passed thinking, I raised good kids, I can go now. And that's how I feel. Like nobody's going to care that I took a really good 11 by 14 photo that's hanging on the wall. Do you know what I mean?
Well, when they're celebrating their lives.
Maybe,
and it's there, yes, they
But
would.
I think like whatever you're leaving behind is the most important, So that to me is good. Because listen, I could work my ass off every day of my life until I die, but if I'm not a good mom, like what is the point,
Well, your boys are fantastic.
Thank
so.
you.
You are already
good
ahead
boys.
of the curve in that, my friend.
Thank you.
Anything else that you want to say as we wrap up?
I don't know. Claudio, do you want to know anything about me?
Claudio loves being on the mic. Do you know that of him?
Oh, that's good. But do you want to know anything? You can ask me. I'll answer anything. Anything you want to know.
You're putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
We love to do that.
It can be anything.
Yeah, anything, huh?
Appropriate, though.
Hold on, different chapter. Okay.
Ooh, book reference.
How did you get into photography? Talk about photography, because I am
You're a photographer. Yeah.
And I love it. And some of the things that you were describing are very much kind of in sync.
Yeah.
I think we may do different types, or maybe. That's the real question. What is your favorite type of photography? And that doesn't necessarily mean what brings money into the pocket. Right?
Got it. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Your favorite pictures?
Yeah. So I got into photography when I was much younger. I was always very into it. Actually, I'm still in touch with my high school photography teacher.
Awesome.
Wow.
Carol Stoss.
Hello, Carol.
Shout out to Carol Stoss. But always was into it. But once again, it was a hobby. And like I was in a dark room, right? Remember those days? Dark room, black bag, unrolling the film, right?
Yep.
Feeling like, do I have it? Do I not? So once again, now we're dealing with cameras are like little computers. And every time there's like an upgrade, right? You're like, oh God, can I do this? I can't keep up. Anyway, favorite type. So I have a few, but let me just explain why. So fresh 48 sessions are one of my favorite things.
Oh, new babies.
Right. So I'm not an expert at taking photos of babies. I don't wrap them or stick them in buckets or anything like that, right? Like I don't do that. I'm not into that. But I will get hired for fresh 48 sessions, which brings me into the hospital, and I will photograph the first 48 sessions, the first 48 hours of a baby's life. It's usually the next day. So I will have met, what an honor. Like I get to meet these babies before family members do. And like if they deliver at Vassar, like I have to be one of your, I have to be on your list. I have to be one of your people. So sometimes moms, like they'll get rid of their grandma. Like grandma, you'll just meet the baby when you come home. So that's my favorite thing. The other thing that I really love to do that I'm pretty passionate about is any sort of like branding photography and helping business owners create photography that will help enhance their business, you know?
And you're spectacular at that.
I love it so much. Like I wish that I could even just like consult on those projects, like, and just help people with, you know, posing, directing, and like, what do these pictures say about your business that you're going to put online that you hope will draw people in? Because business owners are obsessed with social media, but they're actually using it the completely wrong way, you know? So yeah, but I love it. I love it so much.
You're like a brand manager.
I love it. Yeah.
Do you have any openings for me?
You want to come work for me?
No.
Oh.
You consult with my branding. Let me know if I should be doing something different.
Do you have any openings? Like, want to come work for
I
me?
am topped off here with my work and my hours. But anyways, I adore you.
Thank
and
you.
I think everybody's going to adore you after watching this.
Oh, thank you. I don't agree with that, but I do.
Don't agree with what?
I don't think everyone's going to adore me. That's a pretty bold thing to say, Mary Bell.
Oh, stop. Well,
Come
first of
on.
all, I am bold. I am wearing my animal print.
I love the animal
I'm
print.
not afraid of a bold statement. It'd be hard. People would be hard pressed not to adore you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Hardworking, just very intelligent, and you got a big old heart of gold.
Thank you so much.
And like I've said 40 million times, I'm so happy to know you.
I'm so happy we became friends.
I mean, come on, you
And
let me in the circle. You broke bread.
I know. And we've broken bread a bunch of times. Even at that Mexican place that didn't have good drinks, remember?
We still made it work.
We made it
Look
work.
at us being positive.
Yeah, it was good. I'm going to try to be positive. Give me something. Give me one thing and I'll try to be positive. Give me a question. I'll try to be positive. I won't
For
be
you to have
negative.
a positive answer.
Yeah, come on. Give me something. Give me something challenging. Claudio can help you too.
And on a positive note, you say something positive.
I'm just so happy we became friends.
Ditto.
Yeah, because I
Thank
love
you for supporting me.
Of course, I'm always going to support you.
And ditto, but I would like to make sure that I always support you as much as you support me.
Yeah, thank you. I'm keeping tabs.
You definitely have
I
the
have
book
my
at home of
notebook.
what people
I
gave
do.
for gifts, don't you?
Oh, I absolutely
Exactly.
have that.
If you are
Absolutely.
Italian American, you've got the book. I still get questions from my mother. Hey, Maya, can you look in your wedding spreadsheet? Let me know who gave you, how much they gave you. And I got it there.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
inflation is real right now, but
I'm not keeping tabs, but
I feel like she is keeping tabs. I think
no,
Claudia-
never. Oh my goodness.
All right. I love you so much. Thank
Love
you
you
for being
too.
here.
Thank
And
you.
just remind everybody who is tuning in for this episode where to find you.
LouisaVilardi.com or LouisaVilardiPhotography.com or follow me on socials.
Louisa
on
Vilardi Photography.
Mary Bell says the gram.
The gram.
At Louisa Vilardi Photography.
I'm just trying to stay up to date with the children these days. It's rough out there. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And next week we have another guest. I'm on a roll here with actually interviewing humans that are not just Claudio, even though you did a hell of a job. CV, as Dave Regina calls you. So stay tuned and thank you. Share, do all the things, and have a beautiful day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, follow the full journey on social media at the handle mary.bell.books. And if you have need for audio-visual content creation and recording services, Cayi Visions is located in Stamford, Connecticut, and can also be found on Instagram at CAYI Visions.